Okay, so this is a perfect picture right here. The comparison between Brayden and Tariq and Ghost and Tommy. So obviously the ethnicities, right? The ethnicities, plain and simple, right? Um, Another thing that they both have in common with one another, the Brayden and Tariq to Ghost and Tommy, is they both call each other family. Ghost and Tommy called each other family. Ghost stayed at Tommy's house with his mom, with Tommy's mom and everything for years because Ghost's father was taken out and the mom, unfortunately, was nowhere to be around. Uncle couldn't take care of him, you know, because his uncle ran a bar along with him, or I guess was doing his own thing, right? May not have necessarily been running a bar, but was doing his own thing. So another thing that the two of them have in common with one another is they both got bodies. The two over here has bodies. Maybe not to the comparative amounts of Ghost and Tommy because they've been putting in work for years. These are two teenagers that have just now been introduced into the game, as to where Ghost and Tommy have been in the game since they were kids. Okay, since they were kids, around the same age, but it was a different time back then, in a sense that, in a sense that, me being from New York myself, in a sense that you can't really, like, you're not really gonna get respect unless you start putting in work in at a young age. So these two, Tariq and Brayden, was kind of at the cutoff point where it's like, okay, if you get too old, you start getting up in your 20s and you start banging and start getting into the game, you look stupid. You know what I mean? You look kind of stupid. It's just something that's really not respected in New York because I'm from New York, currently in New York. It's not something that's really respected over here. If you're going to be in the game, you got to get in the game real early. So that's something that, unfortunately and fortunately, Ghost and Tommy had that Tariq and Brayden didn't really have to do. They chose to be in the game, right? They had an opportunity to never be in the game because they're rich. They were rich at one point. And now both of them essentially lost their money. And Ghost and Tommy, one thing that's different from the two is Ghost and Tommy are rich. Ghost, got ended. I can't say the D word, but Ghost and Tommy got ended. Or I should say, Ghost got ended, but he was rich. And Tommy is still rich. You know what I mean? Brayden and Tariq have essentially lost both of their trust funds because of the Ponzi scheme in down at Wall Street. Another thing that the two of them have differently is their upbringings. Like it is that I was talking about before. Tariq and Brayden, they didn't have to be in the game. They really didn't. They chose to be. And Ghost and Tommy at a very young age in the 80s, in the 90s, but in the 80s too, because they were alive back then in the Powers storyline. They was there to watch the epidemic, the crack epidemic, pretty much do its thing. So they saw the power of how people really wanted to get lit up. They wanted to get inebriated. So they took that. So Ghost and Tommy took that and was like, okay, they'll use it to their advantage. As to where Tariq and Brayden had all the advantage in the world. And truth be told, the government wouldn't have really found out about it unless Brayden was sneaking around in the first place. If Tariq didn't really get in the game, he'd probably still have his trust fund, truth be told. Another thing that they have in common with one another is Brayden is obviously very loyal to Tariq as Tommy is to Ghost. I mean, like I've never You know what I mean? Like, there's a real loyalty going on there. There really is. There's a real loyalty. There's a real form of loyalty going on. And the reason why it is I'm saying that is because Brayden and Tommy both kind of like the melanated culture, if you know what I mean, right? Like, they don't really see themselves as identifying with their own ethnicity, if you if you catch my drift, right? They kind of, like melanated people. They really like it. They really like the style. They like it. So they're like, look, they getting in where it is that they fitting in. Obviously Ghost and Tariq, that's father and son. Ghost is the father, Tariq is the son. They're genetically related. So the genetics of Ghost is literally in Tariq. That means that Tariq most definitely has the capabilities of being better than Ghost. But the thing about it is that the reason why a lot of people don't think so is really because of a false perception, right? They don't particularly like Tariq, so therefore he's never going to be better than him, even though objectively he does have the potential to be. It's just that he wasn't put onto the game at a very young age, like Ghost and Tommy was. Ghost and Tommy was 14, 15, 16 years old being put on, as to where, Tariq didn't really start getting put onto the game up until he was like a senior in high school. You know what I mean? So this is just my comparison. There's obviously more things that we can compare. Tommy is way more violent than Brayden is. Ghost has a lot of tricks up his sleeve than Tariq does. Tariq doesn't know how to fight. Ghost obviously does. He's kind of good with his hands. So, let me know what you think.